For years, I believed the lie that everyone believes about losing stubborn body fat forever. Eat less, burn more, and eventually the fat disappears like magic from your body. That part is true. Calories matter, deficits work, the science has never really changed. But nobody warned me that knowing the theory means absolutely nothing when cravings hit hard. I understood calories perfectly, yet I kept failing after just a few short weeks. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't undisciplined, I was simply making fat loss unnecessarily difficult. Everything shifted the moment I stopped obsessing only over how much food I ate. I started noticing what I ate, when I ate it, and how it affected me. 3 specific changes quietly transformed how fat loss actually felt inside my daily life. No extra cardio, no starving myself, no giving up the foods I genuinely loved. The first change alone helped my body burn more calories without one added workout. And that single discovery is exactly where this entire transformation story truly begins. Now, let's be clear, this isn't a video claiming calories somehow magically stop mattering completely. If you're not in a deficit, fat loss simply will not happen, ever, period. That's not motivation talk, that's basic human biology working exactly the way it should. But here's the twist nobody explains. All calories are not created equally inside you. If calories alone mattered, every diet with equal calories would feel identical every time. We all know that's false. Some diets starve you while others keep you full. Some diets drain your energy completely while others somehow make movement feel effortless daily. Some diets are so miserable that most people quit before results ever appear anywhere. For years, I treated calories like isolated numbers floating separately inside an empty vacuum. Eventually, I realized the foods carrying those calories decide whether you succeed or fail. Not because certain foods magically melt fat away while you sleep peacefully at night, but because food quality directly controls the 2 things that determine long-term dieting success: hunger and energy. Those 2 forces quietly decide if you stick with anything long-term. Picture this: one diet leaves you starving by 8, another leaves you fully satisfied. Which lifestyle do you honestly think you could maintain consistently for the next 3 months? The answer is obvious, and that realization completely reshaped how I approached fat loss. It was never about eating less, it was about extracting more from every single calorie. Surprisingly, this journey started with foods that looked nearly identical yet behaved completely differently. The first change sounded almost too simple to actually matter, yet it changed everything. I began eating fewer processed foods, not because processed food is inherently evil somehow. I made this shift after discovering something genuinely fascinating about how digestion actually works. Your body doesn't burn identical calories digesting every single food you put inside it. We obsess over calories inside food, forgetting the calories required just to digest it. This hidden cost is called the thermic effect, and it quietly separates good foods apart. Digestion literally costs energy, and some foods demand far more energy than others do. Imagine 2 meals, nearly identical calories, nearly identical protein, looking basically the same visually. One meal is whole, minimally processed food. The other is heavily processed and refined. Research shows your body burns noticeably more calories digesting the less processed option consistently. Learning this changed how I viewed food completely. Food became information, not just numbers. Every meal was either helping fat loss happen easier or quietly making it harder. Best part, I wasn't dieting harder, I wasn't adding extra cardio or gym hours. I simply chose foods that asked my body to work slightly harder while digesting. These small advantages compound slowly. Not overnight magic, but meaningful progress across real months. Looking back, this remained one of the easiest upgrades I ever made to dieting. But this wasn't even the change that impacted my results the absolute most powerfully. Because the real enemy wasn't calories. It was what happened to me every single night. For years, I blamed myself,
calling it a lack of discipline and pure willpower. Every failed diet felt like a personal character flaw I desperately needed to fix somehow. Eventually, I understood something important. The real problem was never me, it was hunger. No matter your motivation, biology eventually wins the battle if hunger isn't managed properly. For me, that breaking point almost always arrived quietly the moment evening finally rolled around. I'd make great choices all day. Healthy breakfast, solid lunch, productive, intense workout session. Everything felt perfectly on track until evening arrived and cravings suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Not because I was weak, but because I was genuinely, physically, uncomfortably hungry again. Your brain becomes shockingly persuasive when hungry, convincing you one snack won't hurt anything. Then another snack follows, then another, erasing the entire deficit you worked hard for. This is exactly where most people unknowingly sabotage months of otherwise disciplined dieting progress. They obsess over fat loss while completely ignoring appetite, the thing controlling everything else. The truth is simple. The best diet isn't the one burning the most fat theoretically. It's the diet you can actually sustain long enough for real results to appear. Once I understood that, my entire approach toward dieting changed almost overnight, completely forever. Instead of fighting hunger constantly, I started searching for ways to genuinely reduce it. I stopped asking how to eat less and started asking how to stay fuller. That single mental shift changed everything because controlled hunger makes discipline far less necessary. This exact realization led directly to the second change that transformed my entire approach. It fixed my energy levels, reduced evening cravings, and made fat loss feel effortless. Surprisingly, it had nothing to do with eating less food throughout the entire day. It had everything to do with timing, specifically when I actually consumed my calories. The second change almost felt backwards, honestly, which is exactly why I nearly skipped it. For years, my strategy involved saving most calories for dinner when cravings hit hardest. My logic seemed reasonable: eat less during the day, save the rest for nighttime. That strategy rarely worked. I felt underfed constantly. My energy declined steadily throughout each day. My workouts felt sluggish, and by evening, hunger made portion control nearly impossible sometimes. Then I discovered studies showing people eating more calories earlier reported significantly less hunger overall, fewer cravings, better adherence, and noticeably improved consistency throughout their entire dieting journey together. Skeptical initially, I decided to personally test shifting more calories toward breakfast and lunch. The results appeared almost immediately. My energy stabilized, my workouts genuinely improved noticeably again. I wasn't constantly thinking about food anymore. Cravings lost their nighttime grip completely eventually. Looking back, it makes perfect sense. Your body responds to timing, not just calories. Fueling myself earlier gave me energy exactly when I needed it most throughout the day. Because I wasn't fighting hunger all day, dinner felt satisfying instead of desperately urgent. This wasn't magic. I still needed a deficit, but maintaining it became dramatically easier. That discovery led me straight into the third change, arguably the most impactful discovery. A category of foods so effective at satisfying hunger, it almost felt slightly unfair.
The third change had the biggest overall impact, though not through boosting metabolism directly. It made staying in a deficit feel almost effortless compared to my previous struggles. Everything came down to one simple question: how full does this particular food keep you? For years, I judged food purely by calories, assuming equal calories meant equal satisfaction. That's completely wrong, because calories are equal, but hunger responses are absolutely not equal. Some foods vanish from your stomach within an hour, leaving you hungry again quickly. Others keep you satisfied for half the day without any extra mental effort required. Researchers actually studied this exact phenomenon, ranking foods by how effectively they controlled hunger. Boiled potatoes, oats, lean proteins, fruits, and whole grains ranked among the most filling. Highly processed foods performed poorly, despite having remarkably similar calorie counts on paper somehow.
This finally explained why chips left me wanting more and sugar left me hungry. Some meals satisfied completely, while others triggered cravings that lasted throughout the entire day. Once I built meals around genuinely satiating foods, the difference felt immediate and undeniable. I wasn't forcing myself to eat less, I naturally wanted less without even trying. That distinction matters enormously because fat loss isn't about constantly battling relentless physical hunger, it's about making hunger less of a problem in the very first place instead. Looking back, this moment finally made fat loss feel genuinely sustainable for the long term. But knowing which foods to eat still leaves one crucial unanswered practical question remaining. What does an entire day of eating actually look like once combined together properly? You might think you understand the principles: less processed food, earlier calories, filling meals. But applying theory consistently in real daily life is an entirely different challenge altogether. For breakfast, I stopped choosing foods that left me hungry again within 1 hour. I focused on protein paired with slow-digesting carbohydrates like oat-based protein pancakes daily. This gave me energy, protein, fiber, and most importantly, genuine lasting fullness throughout mornings. For lunch, same strategy. Quality protein like salmon paired with boiled potatoes and vegetables. Simple food, nothing fancy, yet incredibly satisfying compared to my previous complicated meal plans. By afternoon, something interesting happened. I stopped constantly thinking about random, unnecessary snacking opportunities. If needed before workouts, fruit and a protein shake usually handled everything perfectly fine. Dinner became refreshingly simple. Chicken, vegetables, moderate healthy fats, satisfying without feeling overly stuffed. Surprisingly, I still enjoyed dessert. High-protein Greek yogurt with berries became my regular choice. It tasted amazing, satisfied sweet cravings completely, and fit perfectly within my daily targets. Looking back, the difference wasn't specific foods, it was how those foods made me feel. Satisfied, energized, genuinely in control, instead of constantly fighting my own persistent bodily urges. But even with this plan, one mistake quietly destroys progress for most unsuspecting people daily. Healthy eating and fat loss are not actually the same thing, surprisingly, despite common assumptions. Nutritious food matters enormously for health, but losing fat requires something slightly more specific. Healthy foods still contain real calories, and many are shockingly easy to overeat regularly. I learned this lesson painfully, cleaning up my entire diet completely, feeling genuinely proud initially. No junk food, minimal processed food, yet somehow the scales simply refused to move. Paying closer attention revealed something eye-opening. My portions were completely wrong the entire time.
One handful of nuts was actually 3 servings. Peanut butter was closer to 4 spoonfuls. That healthy smoothie I called a snack contained enough calories for an entire meal. Nothing was unhealthy, I was simply eating significantly more than I honestly realized daily. That's the hidden danger. Healthy food creates false security, making you stop measuring anything carefully. Your body doesn't distinguish between excess calories from cookies versus excess calories from almonds. Excess remains excess regardless of nutritional labels, and that distinction changed my entire perspective. This doesn't mean obsessing over every calorie forever, but awareness genuinely matters enormously still. Once you understand actual portions, making meaningful adjustments becomes remarkably simple almost immediately afterward. That realization led me toward the biggest lesson, bigger than timing, quality, or strategy. For years, I searched for one perfect diet, one perfect food, one perfect secret formula. After testing countless approaches, I realized none of them were the actual real reason. Not oats, not potatoes, not bigger breakfasts, not even reducing processed foods specifically alone. Those things helped, but they weren't truly the answer to lasting, sustainable fat loss success. The real answer was what they allowed me to consistently do, day after day. They made staying consistent significantly easier, and consistency is genuinely where real magic happens. A perfect diet followed for 2 weeks never outperforms a good diet followed for months.
Yet people constantly chase optimization while completely ignoring adherence, the thing that actually matters. They search for ways to burn 50 extra calories while following a plan they hate. I used to do exactly the same thing, chasing maximum results instead of pure sustainability. The body doesn't reward perfection, it consistently rewards patient repetition over long extended periods. Small decisions repeated daily, weekly, monthly, that's genuinely why these 3 changes worked so well. Not because they broke thermodynamics, not because they secretly hacked my personal metabolism somehow magically, but because they reduced hunger, improved energy, controlled cravings, and simplified maintaining a deficit. In simple terms, they removed friction, and once friction disappeared, consistency became almost completely automatic. That was the real breakthrough, and it changed everything about how I approached dieting forever. If I restarted my entire fat loss journey tomorrow, knowing everything I currently know now, I wouldn't waste time searching for shortcuts, fat burners, or constantly jumping between different diets. I definitely wouldn't spend hours hunting for some hidden metabolism-boosting hack that doesn't exist. Instead, I'd focus entirely on 5 simple principles that consistently produced real results for me. First, prioritize protein. Not because it's magical, but because it preserves muscle and increases fullness. Second, build most meals around minimally processed foods that naturally satisfy and require more digestion. Third, shift more calories toward the first half of your day to control hunger better. Fourth, choose foods that fight hunger instead of triggering it, more potatoes, oats, and protein. Finally, focus on sustainability over perfection, because that lesson took me the longest to learn. The goal was never following the perfect diet, it's following a good diet long enough. That's what successful fat loss truly means. Not a 30-day miracle challenge or extreme detox, just smart decisions repeated consistently, day after day, until results become genuinely inevitable eventually. Once I stopped chasing perfection and built a system I could actually enjoy, everything changed. Cravings became manageable, the diet became sustainable, and real results finally started showing up consistently. Because, in the end, fat loss was never really about finding one secret formula. It's about making the basics so effortless you never feel the urge to quit.